The courtroom clock ticked louder than it should have. James Edward Thornton stood at the defense table. Wrists free now, but his shoulders still carried the weight of chains that had been there, far longer than steel ever could be. Freedom didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, cautiously, like it wasn't sure he deserved it yet. The judge had stepped away for a brief recess, but no one moved. No one spoke. It was as if the room itself was afraid to break the silence. James stared at the flag on the wall. He hadn't looked at one this closely in years. The memories came anyway. A desert night, no moon, only breathing through fabric and sand. His hand raised, 2 fingers, freeze. 12 hostages huddled in darkness. One whispered prayer in a language the captors didn't know James understood. "Lower your weapons! Walk away! No one needs to die tonight." They had listened. That was Silent Talon. Back then, they called him Phantom Hawk because he moved where drones couldn't see and spoke when silence was deadlier than bullets. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the loudest. He was the one they sent when failure wasn't an option. The courtroom doors opened again. The judge returned, slower this time. Older. He cleared his throat. "Mr. Thornton, before we conclude, I owe you something." James didn't react. "I mocked you," the judge said. "I judged you by what I saw, not what you carried." James finally turned. "I've been judged worse by better men," he replied quietly. That hurt more than anger ever could. Outside the courthouse, cameras waited. Reporters shouted questions. "Are you really SEAL Team 6? Why were you homeless? Who betrayed you?" James stopped walking. Monroe stiffened beside him. James turned back toward the microphones. "Because when you lose men under your command," he said calmly, "you don't get to live comfortably after." Then he walked away. They didn't follow. Some stories demanded silence. Over the next weeks, his name resurfaced in places it hadn't existed before. Secure rooms, classified hearings. Old teammates, fewer than he remembered, watched him enter rooms they thought he'd never walk into again. One of them stood when he saw him. "Damn it," the man whispered. "We thought you were dead." James shook his head. "I just didn't know how to live." Testimony took hours. James didn't dramatize. He didn't accuse. He simply told the truth. How the forged signatures appeared. How supply crates vanished before missions. How questions were punished with silence. How his refusal made him convenient. The corrupt officer sat across the room, eyes hollow now. Rank stripped, uniform gone. "Why didn't you clear your name?" the man snapped at one point. James looked at him. "Because my team was dead," he said. "And you were still breathing." That ended the questions. The verdict came swiftly. Dishonorable actions reversed. Record corrected. Medals reinstated. But James barely listened. Because the real weight lifted later.